Hi guys, hope you're having a great Friday. I'm completely down in the dumps and bored to death, and you're watching another episode of Barham Engines. So, as you may have heard guys, if you watch the channel, I've done my knee. I've had the knee operation, had some cartilage removed, and had some good news that I've got some arthritis and a worn out cartilage on the lateral side. But anyway, had the operation Wednesday, not a lot I can do. I've just got to sit down and rest. I spoke to the surgeon this morning and he said, yeah, it's going to take probably a couple of weeks before I'm walking around half properly. So yeah, I'm bored rigid guys, but probably best for the long run if I just rest it. But thankfully, I've got a great team back at work. Paul and Isaac there are working hard. They've managed to put out some footage. So Paul today is going to be running through what he's got on the go. Isaac's finally got the crank ground by John for the Jeep, and I think he's going to be getting that in there. And Paul's going to be showing you some rod balancing and how far they are out on the Rover V8 engine. So yeah, can't thank those boys enough. So let's head over to the workshop, guys, and yeah, can only apologise once again for me not being there. Nothing more I want is to just get back there, start making some videos, building some engines, but unfortunately sometimes in life you've just got to sit back and let nature do its work. So yeah, let's go back to the workshop, guys, and see what Paul and Isaac are up to.
Right, so quick Friday morning update, what we've got going on. So under here is a Cosworth engine that Lee machined the pistons on last week. Heads on, this is the one with the long studs, so we've got the 6 long studs in the middle and the 2 out ones are the ARP. So we've used a multi-layer steel gasket on this. Cams are in. The inlet cam is actually a new cam. It's a Newman PH, well no, it's not PH, it's a BD14 I think sort of cam. So new cam on that, that's the original exhaust cam. We've got obviously the vernier pulleys on here, so that's all looking nice. So I've roughly timed this up, or roughly, you know, it's at TDC at the moment, but the cams are roughly timed up. But before we actually put the belt on properly and tension on, we need to helicore this tensioner stud hole. So we need to do that, and we also need to get sump on as well. So this is getting there. This is nearly probably a 3 more hours work, and we're probably it's probably finished. Also plenty of work building up over here. Lee's off with a gammy leg, or gammy knee. His Heath Robinson knee, as he would say.
Heath Robinson knee.
Yeah, so John's been flat out on the crank grinder over there as well. Yeah. Under here is the VR6 engine, which I have the crank in now. So cranking this spins lovely. So I'm really happy with that. I'm actually doing a sort of build video on that at the moment, but that will be in a separate video. So this block obviously needs a proper clean. Need to soak it in TFR, I think, because it's pretty gritty. This has been bored, so I think we're going 0.5 mil on this one. So we've got new pistons over here. So we need to board up block hopefully next week. Starting to sort of get some more bits done now. It's sort of taking a bit of a back seat. I'm going to balance the rods in a minute. I'll film myself balancing those rods, and I've got plenty down here to be blasting clean. So obviously rocker covers, forward pickup pipes, or the bolts need to be done properly. So Isaac, what you got going on here then, big boy?
Well, this is the Jeep engine, and finally John's got round to changing the stone on the grinder, and the crank's ground.
Lovely.
So I've just balanced it this morning. Going to get it off the balancer in a minute, give it a clean, and then we'll be able to get on with building the bottom end, basically.
Nice one, mate. So how bad was the crank out? Was it out badly, or?
I think it only needed like 10 thou, but yeah.
Ideal. So you probably have that in by the end of the day then, mate? That'll be ideal. Nice one.
Yeah, and then get the head on. So obviously it's just a flat head.
Yep.
So get that on, get it all timed up, and should be away pretty quickly.
And that's your other project you got going on as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's the Rover 6-cylinder. We just had the rocker cover back, needed a little bit of welding.
Yep.
So that's back. But other than that, it's all ready to go. And I think now actually it's completely done because the customer's building it themselves. That's
a lovely paint job on that, mate, and obviously it looks nice and new core plugs and everything.
Yeah, same colour as that Jeep over there as well.
Barham Engines Grey.
Yeah.
We call it.
Yeah.
Right, so things happen quickly here at Barham Engines.
They do indeed.
Isaac is about to put crank in this engine, so take it away, big boy.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. Right, so just lubing his bearings out here, mate.
Yep.
Lovely. So this is one of these engines where you've got to have put the crank and the pistons and rods in first before we put the crank in.
Yeah, it seems to be easier that way anyway.
That's fair enough.
Or it made more sense at the time.
He's not happy over there.
No, he's not.
Right, so we'll get this crank in. I can't say I've ever built one of these engines before, mate, so you know more about them than I do. So.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, not this one at least, mate.
Right, so just going to stick this one in. Get it on there first.
Not bad, mate.
Like a glove. So
there you go.
Now I've got to put all the rod caps on, all the main caps on.
Yep.
Do them all up.
Time
check it turns okay, and then I have to take it all off again, and then put the rope seal in, because if I put the rope seal in straight away,
yeah, so basically
it'll feel like something's wrong.
With the rope seal, you'll find the whole engine will be quite tight. It's just the way rope seals are. So you're building it now without rope seals, so you can turn it over to make sure there's no notchy hole feeding.
Basically, yeah.
Because you're not going to really feel it with the rope seal. You're not going to know.
Well, yeah, could just be the rope seal or something could be wrong.
Yeah,
so.
That's not a bad idea, mate. Well done.
Right, everyone, regarding the thumbnail and title, for anyone that hasn't watched the previous videos or is new to the channel, I'm just going to recap on this one slightly. Now, I've done 2 or 3 videos on a particular customer that bought an engine to us in bits, and this guy, prior to him sending the engine in via a pallet, he rang us up and said, could you email me a sort of estimate for, I think it was at the time, it was reboring a block and a set of pistons for a VXR. I did exactly that. At the time, the pistons were about 450 quid a set for a set of forged ones. And at the time, we were £50 an hour and we charged £100 for reboring a 4-cylinder. So 550 quid plus the VAT, that's what I sent him. Obviously on an estimate. Estimates usually run up to about a month because, you know, I don't tend to quote, as many of my viewers will know. And with parts, it's almost impossible to tell whether they're going to go up or not. So, yeah, we sent him an estimate. Anyway, didn't hear any more. About 11 months later, he gets back in touch with us and said, look, his mechanic has stripped the engine down now. He wants it done. He's going to send down the block. So he sent down the block, but it wasn't just the block. It was an entire bottom end with the head plonked on it, but the head had obviously been off. So I rang him up, I told him, and I said, look, it's meant to have been sending down a block with me for a set of pistons and a rebore, but he sent down an entire engine. He said, look, I don't know anything about it. Just get in touch with my mechanic and liaise with him, because obviously he's doing the job. So that's what I did. The guy said, I've sent that down because if you're going to be doing it, I want it all done properly. So strip it, check everything, you know, if the crank's fine, polish the crank, bore it, face the block, go through the cylinder head, supply the gaskets and the pistons and what have you. So that's what I did. And in fairness to me, I did get back to the customer and say what I'd spoke about with his mechanic. And he said, well, you know, he's doing it. It's got to be done. So I think this was about the March, April, something like that. And then we obviously got it all done. I rang up the customer. I sent him the invoice. And I said, did you get the invoice? He said, I did, yeah, but I don't understand why it's way, way more than the estimate was. And I said, I don't remember estimating for all this. I said, I rang you up and you told me to liaise with your customer. Now, this was prior to all you guys commenting saying, look, you must get everything in writing. You must keep estimating, getting it in writing and emails, which we try to now. But back then we didn't really. But in fairness, you know, I had liaised over the phone with him. There was interaction via emails. And yeah, I thought everything was fine. So it was about £2,400 with the VAT. So that was rebore, reface the block, go through the cylinder head, polish the crank, balance the crank assembly, obviously the strip down of the bottom end, etc. And then there was the gaskets, the bearings, and the pistons, forged pistons. I did say to him before I'd sent the bill, I said, look, the pistons have gone up about £80, obviously, because they've got to come from Germany. Prices have gone up in 11 months. He said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So when I gave him the bill for £2,400, he kicked off. he was actually expecting he was expecting it to be the price of the estimate originally nearly a year before. I said, well, no, because that was for a reborn Pistons. He said, oh, well, I didn't think it would be that much more. Alarm bells ringing then. I thought, I know what we've got here. We've got a trader. We've got a trader. He's trying it on. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that there's going to be extra work and it's going to be extra cost. Anyway, there was this to and fro arguing, and it was almost, he'd leave it a week or so, then he'd ring back. And in the end, we was almost arguing over the phone, but sort of laughing at the same time until he started to get funny. And I thought, well, he's obviously serious. I said, look, you cannot be serious. I said, all I can do here, if you want the price to go down, I can send the bits back if they will have them back. But obviously the machining that's been done, you're going to have to pay for it because we've agreed on that. That's what's been done. Well, how much is that going to come to? So I've managed to get the company to take the parts back. And I said, listen, the labour and all that is going to be about £1,000 plus the VAT. So it's less than half the price, or about half the price. Can we do it for 800? So it didn't matter what price I was doing it at. He just wanted to pay less. I said, no, that is it. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, he didn't want to pay it, all went quiet. So then I sent him an email stating, as I did with all of my customers, stating that as of whenever it was, I'd said, there's going to be a storage charge of £5 a day, basically. Sent that to him. He didn't reply, so I left it 2 months, and then I sent him a bill for the original amount plus about £200 for storage. Didn't hear anything. About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I get a letter. I opened the letter. It was a letter from debt collectors, and I thought the amount was about £3,000. And I thought, what on earth's going on here? So I rang them up, and they mentioned the name, and I thought, hang on a minute. I just started laughing on the phone. They said, what are you laughing at? I said, this guy, he's claiming back money for something that basically what he was doing. They said he was claiming for an engine that he had sent to us and he never received back. And he wanted the full amount of the engine. I said, he sent the engine. We've done all the work. He can have his engine back, but when he's paid the bill. And they said, I didn't realise that. So anyway, they went. That was the last we heard. Well, this was about two and a half months ago. So obviously I left it 2 months. Then I sent him a bill for the original amount, plus the 2 months storage, plus now another 2 months storage. Bearing in mind, this engine's been on a big pallet in our shed, which is taking up storage room. I sent him another 2 months storage. Well, sure enough, guys, 2 weeks later, today, got another letter from a debt collector, another debt collector, mind, for £3,200. So I've rang them up, explained the same thing to them, and they said, didn't realise that. So although I'm home ill, guys, well, not ill, I'm home with me bad knee. As crazy as this is, and we don't like to fall out with customers, but this is becoming a little bit of a joke, really. I mean, the guy can have his engine back, but he needs to pay his bill. So, yeah, I suppose while I'm sitting here, it gives me a little bit of amusement, really. But some people, put down in the comments what you think about that, guys. I'm sure you will. Any recommendations, welcome.
Right, so the Rover MG V8 conrods. So, balancing wise, so I got this little nice little apparator which you've seen in the previous video. So I've actually balanced the first 6 rods on this. So the first 6 rods are within less than a gram. I think 3/4 of a gram each, which is quite good. So to start with, we were nearly 6 grams difference between rod 3, which is the heaviest, and rod 4, which is the lightest. Number 7, we haven't balanced at all. We didn't need to take any weight off because it was within the threshold already, so we're happy with that. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of footage of how we balance these rods. So number 8 is 50409. So that was probably in the middle of, the heaviest and lightest. So I weighed all the big ends and weighed all the small ends. So as you can see, the big end itself is very light at 357. It's lightest out of all these, but the small end is the heaviest. So we're nearly probably 6 grams difference between the small end. So my main aim is to try and get this number closer to these, but also within a gram of these. So we're not going to take the weight off the big ends in this, we're going to take the weight off the small end. So this is obviously the advantage of having this machine. If I hadn't done that, I would have basically taken 3 grams off this big end and would have been down to sort of 354 grams compared with number 5, which is a 361. So that's quite a difference. So number 8 obviously is the fending rod. Now, but I don't want to take too much weight off the small end of this, so effectively we're going to be taking weight off around here and down the sides here, but we don't want to take too much off. So we're probably not going to have this completely bang on compared to the rest, but as long as I'm sort of I'll be happy if in 1.5 grams of this sort of weight, or the lightest rod. So the lightest rod is 50122, sorry. So if we can be around about 502, I'll be happy with that one. So let's go and take some weight off. Better get my safety glasses as well. Right, so I'll ground some weight off the small end on number 8. So let's see what we got now. 14434, 14434. Just write that one down. So see what the overall weight is in that one now. 0 that. 50169. That actually puts us smack bang with the rest of them basically. So we're all within 1 gram. So the lightest is 5019. Sorry, the heaviest is 50192, and the lightest is 50122. So you probably say about 3/4 gram, maybe a little bit more difference between heaviest and lightest, which I think is pretty spot on compared with what we have. There's not really much I can do with the weight there compared to the lightest one here on the big ends and the heaviest one on the small ends. It's just the way they are, unfortunately. It's just the way cast rods are. So I'm happy with that one. We'll give these a wash, and then we'll put them in a box throughout the way. And I think next week we'll do the pistons. But yeah, really happy with that one.
Well, thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Thank you very much to Paul and Isaac. Comment down below on what you think of that little scenario we've got. Mustn't laugh, really. But until another video, guys, have a great weekend. Take care.